On a moonlit night in the old forest of Baharvan, the animals whispered about one thing more than food, rain, or even the lion's bad temper: the river crossing. It was not the crocodiles that worried them most, it was the water itself. Quiet water can hide the sharpest trouble. Near the bend of that river lived a young rabbit named Rumi, quick in the legs, quicker in the tongue, and just as quick to believe the first kind words he heard. Rumi had a soft heart, which sounded lovely in stories, but in real life it often meant he trusted too fast, too freely, and too foolishly. One afternoon, while Rumi was nibbling on a carrot he had stolen from a sleepy farmer's field, he heard a voice calling from behind the reeds. "Excuse me, little rabbit," said the voice, smooth as butter and polite as a minister. "Could you help an old traveler?" Rumi turned and saw a crocodile lying half in the water, half on the muddy bank. His scales shone green, his eyes were calm, and his smile was wide enough to make a frog nervous. Rumi froze. Every creature in the forest knew the old rule: if a crocodile says he is harmless, check whether he is eaten already. But this crocodile, whose name was Kalu, spoke with such respectful sorrow that even the stones would have blinked. "I am old," he sighed. "My teeth hurt, my back hurts, even my pride hurts. I have no interest in eating anyone. I only need a little help. My wife has fallen ill on the far side of the river, and I must carry these medicine leaves across, but the current is too strong. Would you be kind enough to guide me to the shallow path?" Rumi's ears twitched. He wanted to run. He also wanted to be a hero. That was the problem with Rumi. He could not decide whether he was a cautious rabbit or a dramatic one. "You are a crocodile," Rumi said, "and crocodiles are famous for two things: teeth and lies." Kalu put a claw over his chest. "A most unfair reputation," he said. "Must every crocodile be judged by the worst one in the swamp? Trust me, little friend. Kindness begins where suspicion ends." That sounded wise, too wise. Rumi had heard enough life lessons from the old owl to know that a sentence can sound noble and still be dangerous. Still, the leaves looked real, the urgency looked real, and Kalu even sneezed once, which made him seem oddly vulnerable. So Rumi did what many young hearts do when they want to believe the best. He believed the first version of the story. He hopped closer, kept a safe distance, and agreed to help. He pointed out the shallow stones, carried one bundle of leaves on a floating branch, and even chatted with Kalu about the weather, the river mud, and how impossible it was to keep a clean tail in the rainy season. Kalu laughed politely, too politely. For a moment, it almost worked. Rumi thought, perhaps I have misunderstood him. Perhaps trust is like tea. It just needs time to steep. Then Kalu asked a small request. "Could you please come a little nearer?" he said. "My eyes are weak. I want to thank you properly." Rumi paused. The wind suddenly felt colder. The water suddenly felt deeper. A fish jumped, and somewhere in the distance, an owl coughed in a way that sounded suspiciously like, "Do not be a fool." Rumi smiled nervously. "Thank you from where you are. My legs are not very loyal in this weather." Kalu chuckled. "A sensible rabbit. But one step more, and I can show you the safest stone." Trust is strange. It walks in like a guest, but if you're careless, it starts moving your furniture. Rumi had enough sense left to keep his feet planted, yet Kalu was patient. That was what made him dangerous. He began telling a story about a lonely life, about being misunderstood, about wanting only one chance to prove he was different. His voice was soft, his words were sweet, and his eyes never left Rumi's throat. Then came the twist. From the reeds on the other side of the bank, a tiny turtle named Tiki popped up and shouted, "Rumi, do not listen to him. I saw him yesterday chasing a duck and swearing he was just asking directions." Rumi blinked.
Kaloo blinked too, though crocodiles are terrible at looking innocent. Tiki, being a turtle, had the advantage of moving slowly enough to notice everything and fast enough to tell someone before disaster arrived. "What?" Kaloo cried. "That duck was rude." "Ah," said Tiki, "and this rabbit is supposed to believe a crocodile with social issues?" Now the whole river seemed to be listening. Rumi looked at Kaloo again, not with panic now, but with clearer eyes. The medicine leaves? Fake. The sick wife? Probably a hungry stomach. The sad tone? Fine acting. The kindness? A costume. Kaloo, realizing his play had been ruined by one small turtle and one not-so-naive rabbit, dropped the sweet voice at once. "Well," he snapped, "you are not as simple as you look." Rumi took one step back, "and you are not as harmless as you sound." Kaloo lunged, but Rumi had already darted onto the dry stones. Tiki slipped into the water. The crocodile snapped at air, got a mouthful of mud, and slid backwards into the current with a frustrated splash that echoed through the forest like a wet insult. For a second, there was silence. Then Tiki laughed. He looked offended by honesty. Rumi laughed too, shaking from the near escape. "I almost trusted him." "You did trust him," said Tiki. "That was the mistake." Rumi looked at the dark water and then at the little turtle. "So what am I supposed to do? Trust no one?" Tiki smiled. "No, trust takes time. Trust listens. Trust watches. Trust is not a gift wrapped in sweet words. Trust is earned, not given." The moon climbed higher above the trees. The river kept flowing as if nothing had happened, which is what rivers do best. But Rumi felt different. He had not become suspicious of everyone. He had become wiser. And there is a big difference between being careful and being cold. From that day on, Rumi changed. He still helped others. He still believed in good hearts. But now he waited. He observed. He asked questions. He checked whether kindness had roots or just shiny leaves. And in time, he learned something deeper than fear. A trustworthy friend does not demand trust like a tax collector. He earns it, one honest act at a time. Years later, when young animals came to Rumi with wide eyes and quick opinions, he would smile and tell them, "A sweet voice can hide sharp teeth. A smiling face can hide muddy intentions. Give trust slowly. Watch how a being behaves when nothing is to be gained. That is where character lives." And the forest remembered him not as the rabbit who nearly became lunch, but as the rabbit who learned the oldest wisdom in the world. Trust is not granted by words. Trust is built by actions. Trust is proven in silence. Trust is earned, not given.